top stories tonight. President Tinubu bans foreign trips by government officials. 16 Nigerian state governors endorsed the creation of state police. 4 children die in fresh outbreak of diphtheria in Kano State. South Africa's Speaker of Parliament set to be arrested over 4 million rand fraud. Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewuike. We begin the news at this hour with reports of 16 state governors endorsing the establishment of state police due to the security challenges facing the country. The National Economic Council, NEC, disclosed this on Thursday in a report submitted to the Council at its 140th meeting held virtually and chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, who briefed State House correspondents virtually after the meeting, said out of the 36 states, 20 state governors and the FCT were yet to make their submissions. However, he did not mention the states. The governors who submitted their memos also called for the review of the Nigerian Constitution. Meanwhile, the President, Bola Tinubu, has banned Nigerian ministers, heads of agencies and other government officials from embarking on publicly funded foreign trips. The ban will last for 3 months in the first instance and will take effect on April 1, 2024. This was contained in a letter dated March 12, 2024 and signed by the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, and addressed to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume. The ban, according to the letter, was aimed at reducing costs in governance. Tinubu added that government officials who intend to go on any publicly funded foreign trip must seek and get presidential approval at least 2 weeks before embarking on any such trip. Joining me tonight to discuss this is a public affairs commentator, Jide Johnson. Jide, thank you very much for joining us. In January, travel delegations for all federal government official trips within and outside the country was slashed. And now we have this directive, even though it's for 3 months. What's your thinking on this? Good effort or more is needed? Okay, I understand we have a bit of a challenge. We'll try and see if we can come back to that conversation subsequently. Let's go to developments in Delta State. The governor, Sheriff Aborewari, has cautioned traditional rulers in the state against shielding suspects involved in the killing of 4 military officers and 14 soldiers in Okuama community, Ugeli South local government area of the state. Governor Aborewari gave the warning when he addressed traditional rulers on the unfortunate incident at the State Traditional Rulers Council Secretariat in Asaba, the state capital. The governor, who said that the act was alien to the state, described it as barbaric, inhumane, and unacceptable, and pledged that those who committed the evil act must be made to face the full wrath of the law. Responding, Chairman Delta State Traditional Rulers Council said that the security of various kingdoms would dovetail to the security of the state and the nation, even as he called for a judicial panel of inquiry to unravel the immediate and remote cause of the crisis.
As still within our communities, expose them. Then your community will be free. All of us will be free. Let us please continue to enjoy this. I pray that this phase is to go off. And I want to assure you again that no innocent community or anybody is innocent or victimized or will be attacked or anything. You are assured me that any community that is not involved, but when you harbour anybody, don't harbour, expose them. It's better to expose them give us information to get them arrested.
Nobody, no Nigerian owner would like to shield criminals because we know the implication of shielding such people. It will bring disaster to our kingdom. And that is what we will work with the government to make sure that peace is returned to that community and peace will return to Delta State.
Staying in Delta State, the government has said 2 out of 4 confirmed cases of Lassa fever have resulted in mortality since the outbreak of the disease in the state. The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Joseph Onojame, disclosed this, said that 4 local government areas where the outbreak was recorded include Okpe, Oshimili North, Oshimili South, and Ndokwa East. The Commissioner explained that the samples which were taken to the Institute of Lassa Fever, Irua, Edo State, maintained that the state has set up state emergency centers to curtail the spread. The state epidemiologist, Dr. Maldrid Okowa, said the state government, in collaboration with the State Primary Health Development Agency, Ministry of Agriculture, are creating enlightenment programs for residents and urge them to report suspected cases of Lassa fever to the nearest medical center across the state.
Lassa fever outbreak in the state. The first case was confirmed about 12 weeks ago. And currently we've done about 43 testing from day 1 to week 12. And 4 confirmed cases, 2 deaths so far recorded. That's a fatality rate of 50%. The truth is that the general fatality rate for Lassa fever is 1 to 15%. We are doing a lot to ensure that we curtail the transmission from patient to our health workers, then from patient to relatives. Currently now, we are doing a lot of advocacy, especially to the health workers and Deltans, to have a high index of suspicion when they see those cases.
Lassa fever is spread by contact with probably the fecal matter or urine of rats, maybe on the foods and all of that. So the Commission has already mentioned to us that we're doing a lot of advocacy, a lot of sensitization, encouraging people to ensure that their food materials are kept covered so that they don't get contact with the rats, so they don't contract the disease in the first place. Another thing that we're doing, which we have done so much in this period that we've had cases across these 4 LGAs, to work very closely with the Ministry of Environment. We've been able to go to the homes of these people, the places that we've looked at. We've seen that there's a bit of problem with environmental sanitation. So environmental sanitation is very key.
Let's go back to the latest effort by the federal government to curtail spending and cut the cost of governance. We're now joined by Jide Benson. He is a public affairs commentator. Thank you very much, Jide, for giving us your time.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
In January, the presidency announced a slash in the number of personnel deployed with federal delegation. Now we have this directive that, I mean, you have to take permission before you can travel, and you cannot travel at least for the next 3 months. Is this, in your view, an effort or more is needed?
Yes, it's a good effort. It's an austerity measure. If you cast your mind back to the 1979 democratic experience, when government introduced austerity measures, we're in a similar time now. So what the government has done is to introduce austerity measure. Well, however, it's a temporary one and maybe late in the day, but it's still a step in the right direction. It means that the government is listening to what the people are saying and it's taking action based on them. However, it's left to be seen whether this will be adhered to, because the circular also states that they should ask for permission about 2 weeks ahead. So
that's another part
possibly,
that I find kind of curious. Should the presidency be giving permission to parastatals that are supposed to have some sort of independence and decide whether a trip is necessary for the growth of the department or agency? Wouldn't that be maybe it taking even more responsibility on itself?
well,
Micromanaging.
I mean, no agency. Say that again, please.
No, I was just trying to concise it to micromanaging. Should the presidency be micromanaging?
Well, if they're micromanaging at this time, it's deserving. The situation demands it. Any effort to reduce the cost of governance is welcome. And by the way, no agency is too independent or is that independent that it is independent of the federal government or the presidency. Every agency reports to the presidency in one form or the other, whether directly or through the secretary to the government of the federation or the vice president or a minister or what have you. So yes, it is micromanaging in one form, but the situation demands it. And really, I think that whatever meetings need to be held outside of Nigeria now, most meetings have a virtual format. Almost every meeting that is important these days are held in hybrid format. So, I mean, it will help the ministers to become slightly more techy, or at least they would make their aides do the work that they're supposed to do so they can attend those sessions virtually and make their contributions.
Many Nigerians have been calling on this administration to lead by example and cut cost of living. Would this action now and the one that the government took in January for you stand as leading by example?
Well, it will. So I'm going to go back to the point about the January decision by the president to slash the entourage of his trips and that of the vice president and their wives. I mean, for me, I didn't see that as practicable because wherever the president is going to travel, there are certain statutory people that have to be with him. This is not including the ministers. I mean, his security details alone and some of his personal aides that need to be on every trip that he goes to, whether it is foreign or local, I think it already exceeds the numbers that was attached to his office. So I don't see that as practicable. And since then, the few trips that he has made, and including the vice president, carefully enough or tactically enough, they've been able to take that away from the eyes of the media or from the public. So they've done a good job of shutting the public up in that regard.
Jide, thank you very much for speaking with us. We appreciate your time. We're on a short break. The news continues right after. Thank you for staying with us. Some residents of Kaduna State have expressed doubt over the possibility of a rescue of the kidnapped victims in Kuriga and Kajuru areas of Kaduna State, despite the deployment of over 200 police personnel. They spoke to a correspondent in Kaduna town, saying previous rescue efforts have not yielded any positive result, but rather seen families of victims ending up paying ransom. Marvelous Obomanu has more in this report.
With the announcement of the deployment of troops to rescue those kidnapped by bandits in the Kuriga and Kajuri local government areas of Kaduna State, it is expected that citizens will heave a sigh of relief, expressing excitement at the information.
It is remaining just 13 days before the 20 days ultimatum given by these bandits comes to an end. Government is still insisting they will not negotiate with the bandits. About 200 police personnel have been deployed to these local government areas, but with more boots on the ground help in the rescue of these abducted school children and other victims abducted by these bandits. We're here on the streets to find out.
It's really a pathetic situation, having your loved one outside far away from you. with this rate or the measure the government is taking, to me personally, I think we'll just look into the intervention of God.
These 20 days where they give, if not government not do something about of this, anything will happen now. These people, they don't feel secure their family. Maybe they'll leave them there, or the bandits kill them, or we don't know how the thing will do.
I don't think paying the ransom is the way forward here. Because if we keep paying ransom, these kidnappings will still continue.
It's really affecting all Kaduna State because we don't know where it will be tomorrow. If they kidnap some near you, then the next person will be you, I think.
Some of the residents say they believe that government has intelligence information of the location of the bandits, but wonder why they have not been dislodged.
The government and all the government officials, they know where these bandits are. They cannot say they don't know where these bandits are. They know where these bandits are. They should curb this banditry.
It's been very long that this is happening, I don't know, but government is not considering anything about them. All these bandits, they really are like the government know where they are from. They know many things about them.
Though the Kaduna State government says it is intensifying efforts to rescue the kidnapped victims, calls have also been made to residents to support security agencies with available information. In Kaduna for News Central, I am Marvelous Obonman.
Chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Buba Marwa, says banditry, kidnapping, rape, and many other crimes in Nigeria have been linked to the use of abuse of illicit drugs. Stakeholders are therefore urged to use all available resources to fight drug dealers for a more peaceful society. News Central's Chizoba Anyowi completes the report.
This crowd are mainly locals of Zangon Katav local council area of Kaduna State. They are gathered here for an anti-drug and substance abuse and youth de-radicalization campaign. Organized by the Global Peace and Life Rescue Initiative in partnership with Nigeria's Defense Headquarters, the campaign is aimed at creating more awareness on the dangers of drug abuse.
For the religious leaders, preach in the mosque, in the church, talk about drugs, talk about the consequences. Peace is eluding us today because the young ones are doing drugs. I can assure you that if you're able to fight the drug dealers in your community with the support of NDNA, you will see peace will come back.
If peace and development must thrive in any given society, then drug peddlers must realize the harm they cause and desist from providing drugs, which have become the enabler for crime.
Among every killings you see in Nigeria, among every banditry you see in Nigeria, among every kidnapping you see, drug play about 50 to 60% role. Drug is one of the major components affecting insecurity with security we have in the country. So if you tackle drug, you would have solved Nigeria's greatest problem.
The lesser the usage of drugs, the lesser the incidence of crime, violent criminalities, and all of those menaces that threaten the security of our communities. That is the main message we brought here.
The question now is, how helpful was this event?
Our youth were jobless. They don't have money to go for labor market to engage in a business, and they were unable to be in the government path. Please let the government try and do something on it. By God's grace, this issue of drug abuse and the crisis, they will tackle it.
Why these young guys are taking drugs is because they do not have any job. So staying at home will make them to take drugs.
With all that has been said here today, it is expected that these youth, who are the major stakeholders in this fight against the use of illicit drugs, go back home and put into practice what they have learned here today for a more peaceful society. From Zangon Katav Council area of Kaduna State for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
To further discuss this, I'm joined by Executive Director, Global Peace and Life Rescue Initiative, Ambassador Melvin AJ. Ambassador, it's good to have you on tonight. With all that has been said during the program that you conveyed in Kaduna yesterday, how do you link the use of drugs to insecurity in Nigeria?
Thank you for having me. Thank you, TV. Thank you, New Central. Thank you, Nigeria. I want to critically state very clearly that the use of drug is one of the major bane of security in Nigeria. Because if there is no drug, or if drug abuse is reduced in our society, we'll have a better society, we'll have better youth, we'll have better incidences, we'll have reduction in crime, we'll have reduction in crime incidents in Nigeria. Because there's nobody will naturally kill human being as it stands today with the level of barbarism that we see on the street, level of barbarism we see the bandits operate, level of barbarism we see attackers of communities operate with his clear eyes. Drug is one of the major factors propelling insecurity in Nigeria. And until we tackle the root cause, which is drug, sometimes we have some aiding factor like the ethno-religious, land issues, chieftaincy issues, and economic issues as part of the problem. But one of the reasons why youth react, one of the reasons why youth take laws into their hand is the abuse of drugs. So I think if we tackle drug, we would have solved half of the problem as insecurity is concerned.
That's actually an important half that needs to be solved. What would be some of your recommendations as the necessary measures that need to be taken to curb this menace?
The necessary measures are things we have started doing by way of advocacy, because the issue of arrest alone won't solve the problem. The youth also needs to be told the truth, the danger at which this drug does to their life. The youth also needs to know that the implication of this drug, if it's not stopped, on their mental health, on their public health and security of the country. So I think our recommendation to government is that they must continue to engage stakeholders in advocacy, community outreaches, because sometimes it's not enough to call people to a gathering, public gathering, and just talk about drugs. You need to take it back to the community, just like we are doing. We are going to inaugurate these clubs in our schools, in our churches, in our mosques, and every public forum where we have people talking about drugs, speaking about the dangers of drugs. And for those people who are affected with these drugs already, we are providing a platform for them to be rehabilitated in our country. So my recommendation to government, the government must take the issue of drugs seriously, because it's one of the major issues. Come to think of it, these bandits, if they are not on drugs, you can't carry people's children and trek for hundreds of kilometers. No normal human being will do that. You can't just enter into a community and kidnap young people. They're not on drugs. So they live on drugs, they survive by drugs, and drug is one of the major factors causing insecurity in Nigeria. So the issue of drugs must be prioritized. The NDLA needs to be strengthened. The welfare of the officers needs to be improved so that they can fight this drug to stand still. If you fight drug in Nigeria, we'd have solved major part of the Nigerian insecurity.
I guess we can start, do more, but if you have the opportunity to speak right now to any young person that's watching the news and it's probably being influenced by friends to try one drug or the other, what would you say to them?
I will advise them to stay off drug because it's actually dangerous to his mental health first. Secondly, his spiritual health. Thirdly, his personal well-being. I will advise him to stay off drug. I will advise him to look for an alternative. And that's why we're taking platform issues like football competition, taking issues like volleyball, taking issues like sport, recreational activities to the community so that we can engage the youth engage the youth. The excuse some of these youth gave yesterday was that they are idle, and that's why they do drugs. So we're trying to see how we can engage the youth to see how they will stay off drugs. So if I meet a youth today that is drug infected or a youth that is taking drugs today, I will simply tell him to stay off drugs by telling him what drug will do to his health. Because if you continue in this drug, you're never going to have that future you yearn for. You're never going to make up the president tomorrow if you're not careful, because you may even get mad or get out of your mind before you get to that level where you become responsible. Nobody does drug and people take him serious. So I would advise them on the dangers of drug and they need to stay away quickly.
Ambassador, thank you for speaking with us and the work that you do.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure once more.
A bit of health now. A fresh outbreak of diphtheria disease has reportedly killed 4 children in villages in the Mingibi local government area of Kano State. A statement issued on Thursday by the information officer of the local government, Tasiu Dadin Dunia, and made available to a local radio station, said no fewer than 28 others have been hospitalized. The statement said the district head of the local government has also urged traditional rulers and Islamic scholars in the communities to enlighten the community and to pray for relief. When contacted, the public relations officer of the State Ministry of Health, Ibrahim Abdullahi, said the report had been forwarded to the State Director of Public Health and had yet to confirm or deny the outbreak. We want a short break now. We have more stories when we return. Stay with us. If you've just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu bans foreign trips by government officials. 16 Nigerian state governors endorsed the creation of state police. 4 children die as fresh outbreak of diphtheria hits Kano State. South Africa's Speaker of Parliament set to be arrested over 4 million rand fraud. In an effort to address the gap in the educational sector in Nigeria's northeastern state of Borno, Governor Babagana Zulum has approved 1 billion naira for the training of basic level teachers across 27 local government areas of the state. The governor made this known while inaugurating newly appointed local government education secretaries who will administer the affairs of primary education in their respective local government areas. Correspondent Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
The statistics of out-of-school children in northern Nigeria in recent times has continued to be a source of concern. The decade of insurgency that ravaged the region further compounded the situation, exposing many to poverty and hunger. Borno state government is taking deliberate steps by changing gear from construction of mega schools, rebuilding the devastated infrastructures to provide adequate support to teachers for enhanced learning outcomes.
I'm particularly delighted and indeed pleased to address you today on this occasion of the inauguration of the newly appointed 27 local government education secretaries and this revision of 57 schools monetary vehicles. And I want to convey my approval through the Secretary of the State Government for the training of 1,000 teachers. In this effect, some of 1 billion naira will be set aside to train the teachers.
The training, according to Governor Zulum, will cover teachers who do not have teaching qualifications but were found to be trainable based on the record of the competency test conducted. The 58 utility vehicles provided by the state government to the education secretaries were meant to enhance mobility, while warning that they should only be used for official purposes and be operated by authorized drivers.
With this indispensable support at our disposal, I want to affirm that there exists no justification whatsoever for any education secretary to be found wanting in his duties. Let us collectively commit ourselves to the noble cause of advancing education in our state, guided by integrity, excellence, and unwavering dedication.
Borno State is also the leading state in recruiting new teachers and making sure that these new teachers are paid on minimum wage.
While such effort remains commendable, the government will consider effective monitoring and evaluation, as well as deepen strategies to tackle the out-of-school children conundrum in the state. In Maiduguri for News Central, Morikirawa.
Let's move now to Southern Africa with the latest that Speaker Noziviwe Maposa Nkakula is set to be arrested for over 4 million rand in corruption and money laundering. Nkakula is expected to hand herself over to the police in Pretoria on Friday. Up next is Business News.
Business News in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Welcome to Business News. We begin in Africa's largest economy. The Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee has identified excess cash in circulation as the cause of accelerating inflation in the country. This was discussed during their February meeting, where they noted the growth in money supply and the consequent rise in transactional motives and excess liquidity. The committee members suggested tightening monetary policy by increasing the monetary policy rate. Money supply statistics revealed a significant increase in currency in circulation and currency outside banks, contributing to the excess liquidity. The committee emphasized the need to address this issue to alleviate inflationary pressures. Still in Nigeria, the price of kerosene rose by 0.86% from 1,329 naira 53 kobo to 1,340 naira 94 kobo per litre in February 2024. This is according to the National Bureau of Statistics. This increase coincided with a rise in overall inflation, highlighting the economic pressures faced by Nigerians. Year-on-year, kerosene prices surged by 14.23%, burdening low-income families. Kaduna, Benue, and Niger had the highest average prices, while Bayelsa, Rivers, and Kwara had the lowest. The North Central Zone experienced the highest costs. The average retail price of a gallon of kerosene in February 2024 was 4,880 naira 2 kobo, showing a 24.29% increase compared to the previous year. Rising prices in housing, transportation, and healthcare further strain Nigerians' purchasing power, particularly for those struggling to afford necessities. The Central Bank of Egypt, CBE, achieved a net profit of 73.193 billion Egyptian pounds in February 2024, compared to 80.23 billion pounds in January. This is according to the financial statement of CBE. The total equity of the bank increased to 5.182 trillion pounds in February from 5.107 trillion pounds at the end of January. The bank's capital remained at 21.6 billion pounds, with reserves of approximately 371.328 billion pounds. To East Africa now, President William Ruto has unveiled an ambitious plan to transform Kenya by 2027. Aligning with the Vision 2030 Development Blueprint. The plan, known as the Fourth Medium-Term Plan, MTP, covers 2023 to 2027 and incorporates the Bottom-Up Economic Transform Agenda, BETA, and County Integrated Development Plan, CIDPs. The MTP translates the Better Agenda into concrete programs in agriculture, healthcare, housing, and the digital economy. President Ruto outlined interventions including strengthening the judiciary, granting financial autonomy to the Inspector General of Police, and implementing the Hustler Fund. The fourth MTP marks the final five-year plan of the Kenya Vision 2030. These are the stories we're tracking at this hour on Business News. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasame Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
Business News in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money. Sports Update brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Let's now turn our attention to sports with Favor Itwa.
In sports, Rangers International Football Club of Enugu have officially launched its esports team after signing an MOU with a private firm to establish and oversee their esports division. At a brief session at the club's corporate headquarters, the CEO Amobi Ezewuike challenged the firm to come up with the right mix of e-players and instructors to ensure the Rangers esports team competes and wins championship for both domestically and internationally. With this move, Rangers now proudly stands as the first professional football club in Nigeria to venture into the world of esports. Interesting time ahead for Enugu Rangers. Still talking football, Nigeria's under-15 boys, known as the Future Eagles, are in Morocco for a two-match tour against the Morocco under-15 team. Coach Patrick Bassi and assistant Hussein Lawal and Augustine Iyamu are in Morocco with 21 future stars who are taking their first steps in international football. The first encounter between the two countries will hold in the city of Kenitra on Friday night, starting at 11 p.m. Nigeria time, hours after the Super Eagles and the Black Stars would have ended their clash at the Grand Stade de Marrakech. According to the Nigerian Football Federation, the Future Eagles Tour was arranged with the aim of developing football from the grassroots and actively providing avenues for young talents to fulfill their potentials. And now to football on the foreign scene. Of course, let's go straight to Spain, where the Football Federation of Spain has sacked various directors linked with the corruption probe on Thursday. In a statement, the federation said they had opened disciplinary proceedings against their now dismissed Director of Legal Services, Pedro González Segura, and Director of Human Resources, Jose Javier Jimenez, both of whom were arrested on Wednesday. The Football Federation of Spain also said they had terminated a contract with GC Legal, the law firm of Thomas González Cueto, who was also arrested as part of a Spanish court's investigation into alleged corruption, fraudulent administration, and money laundering. Police searched the Federation headquarters on the outskirts of Madrid on Wednesday, along with disgraced former chief Luis Rubiales' property in Granada. The 46-year-old is currently in the Dominican Republic, but is set to return to Spain on the 6th of April. The investigation concerns contracts signed by Rubiales to take the Spanish Super Cup to Saudi Arabia, among other matters. And now to the world of athletics, where Ese Brume, of course, has won gold in the women's long jump event at the 2023 African Games. Brume, who is a Nigerian athlete, did a jump of 6.92 meters in her first attempt, was of course enough for her to win and defend her title from 2019. It was an international debut, of course, to remember for relatively unknown Pristina Ochonogo, who claimed bronze. Ochonogo made a leap of 6.67 meters to finish third, while Burkina Faso's Kuala Mate won the silver. Ruth Usoro missed out on the podium as she placed fourth with a 6.62 meter jump. Meanwhile, Nigeria could add to the gold tally medal haul later today in the final of the women's football. The Falconets currently leads Ghana 1-0 and are currently in the second half of that particular game. And of course, to wrap up sports update, let's go straight to the world of tennis, where women's world number 222 and 2022 Wimbledon girls doubles champion Angela Okutoyi has clinched Kenya's 5th gold medal at the ongoing African Games in Ghana. Okutoyi secured a historic victory, defeating Egypt's Lamis Abdelaziz 6-4, 6-2 in the women's singles tennis final. Her win marks the tennis star as the first Kenyan woman to claim the prestigious title in nearly 50 years, following Jane Davis Dodgson's win in 1978. The victory not only cements Okutoyi's place in Kenya's sports history, but propels her towards her Olympic aspirations, contingent upon, of course, her ascent into the top 400 ranking. Interesting times ahead for Okutoyi, and congratulations to her once again. That wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favor Itwa.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile. Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Nigeria's music star Davido and Brown Hill Investment Company, owned by former president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Amaju Pinnick, have reached an out-of-court settlement regarding a breach of contract dispute. The lawsuit stemmed from Davido's failure to perform at the 19th edition of the Worry Again concert, prompting the company to seek 20 billion naira in damages and additional fees. Now, both parties have opted for an amicable resolution, with Davido agreeing to perform at the event on the 4th of October 2024 as part of the settlement. Meanwhile, a Nigerian actress, Amal Umar, has been arrested in Kano State for allegedly attempting to bribe a police officer to release her impounded car. The police claims she offered 250,000 naira to the officer, but Amal denies the charges, asserting that it was the police officer who asked for the money. Known for her prolific career, evidenced by hundreds of movies and a massive social media following, Amal's arrest came after her car was seized for over a year on suspicion that she bought her car with proceeds from her boyfriend's alleged fraudulent activities. While Amal's lawyer contends that she was coerced and insists on her innocence, the police maintain that she attempted to bribe the officer. Despite being released on bail, Amal's boyfriend, Ramadan Inuwa, remains wanted on charges for obtaining money by false pretense. That's where we call it a wrap tonight on entertainment. Next is trending after we return from this break.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Moving away from entertainment news, one of the trending topics across social media platforms today is the hashtag First Lady. In a recent statement, wife of Nigeria's President, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has expressed concern over the trend of Nigerians migrating to developed countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada in search of employment opportunities they are unwilling to pursue here in Nigeria. Let's listen to her.
Even all those people saying they are going to Japa or they go there, what work are you going to do? You know, work that you refuse to do at home, where you have loved ones. You end up going to do that. Even with all their education, they're driving cabs. But they won't drive cabs here.
Yes.
So, you know, there are a lot of things that, you know, as lawmakers, we want.
Many Nigerians have raised their voices on these statements, emphasizing that the current economic climate in the country does not provide a conducive environment for citizens to thrive financially, leading many to seek opportunities abroad. In these reactions on social media, Nigerians also questioned the government's efforts in addressing the root causes of economic hardships and advocating for comprehensive reforms to improve the economic landscape within the country. Let us check out a few of such reactions on X. Setup is saying, as the First Lady, I expected more thoughtful and considerable statements from her. These particular statements seem to lack logic and reason, given the current state of the Nigerian economy. The amount of money they make from driving cabs abroad is better than here. So before making such sweeping statements, it would be helpful for her to consider the broader context and the challenges that many people are facing. She should also tell us why her husband goes for treatment abroad when we have good hospitals here in Nigeria. This alone answers the question. Another tweet from Promoting Nigeria is saying, let us stay home and build our country. I know Nigerian government haven't been helpful over the years, but I believe in Ezewuike and his government. They will make Nigeria great again. And then we have another tweet from Osagnats saying, it is unfortunate they don't even connect properly with reality. Which jobs are they talking about in Nigeria? Uber in Lagos with multiple taxation and extortion, harassment, bad roads, and insecurity make Nigeria safe and give the economy a boost. That is your business. And then we have the last tweet here from Meta Forces saying, I think she's correct. It is the same job we can't afford to do here that our youths eventually do abroad. Though you may argue with it, it is the reality. And that's all for tonight on What's Trending. Please join the conversation and share your thoughts across our social media platforms at News Central TV. I am Jadel Simon.
And that's all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. President Tinubu has banned foreign trips by government officials. 16 Nigerian state governors have endorsed the creation of state police. 4 children have died as fresh outbreak of diphtheria hits Kano State. We also brought you news that South Africa's Speaker of Parliament is set to be arrested over 4 million rand fraud. To send your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on social media to do that as well, at News Central TV. We're live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.